starting
Okay.
out, do anything and you will get better,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
You don't have to like overthink it too much. But
Being
for the
able to love yourself and, validate who you are without any form of expression of it. And that's why I feel like that's what true confidence is in my head. Because
It gives us a journey of self-discovery through our art. Yours might be music or film or writing.
Always been my outlook on everything in regards to life. If I see anybody who has anything, my default is if they can have it or if they can do it, so can I.
We get to
Yes.
speak. We get to do a podcast. We get to work out. We get to. It's a privilege that people often complain and take for granted.
There is one skill that all successful people share in common. That one skill is discipline. Discipline is what is needed to achieve any great feat in life. And today I am here to speak about this. Welcome back, everybody, to the Insightful Podcast. Today is episode 44. We gain insight in order to move forward in life. If you guys are enjoying the podcast so far, remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and let me know any future topics you would like me to discuss in further episodes. It's been a while because even though you guys are seeing podcasts being uploaded this past Wednesday and Friday, I haven't filmed a podcast in more than a week, and it's because I was sick. I wasn't feeling the greatest. I had a cold, so my nose was very congested. So I did sound pretty stupid, so I didn't want to film any episodes. And maybe you could still kind of tell I'm a little bit sick, but it's one of those things, man. It just comes out of nowhere. I haven't been sick in a very long time, but I got super sick, and all the motivation, all the discipline, like we're going to speak about today, kind of went out through the window. But I also want to talk about how you could keep that discipline even when times get rough, right? So without further ado, let's get into this. So before anything, the reason why I want to speak about discipline is because of what just happened to me, right? Is the whole idea of discipline is doing stuff, especially when you don't feel like it, right? Because many of us, when we have the motivation, we could be super productive. We could do all the things that truly matter. But the difference between motivation and discipline is that when that feeling of feeling good and feeling like you want to do it and all these things, and you watch a nice motivational video and then you go attack your day, that is fine when it's there. But the discipline comes when you don't have those feelings, when you wake up in the morning and don't want to do anything, right? You wake up early in the morning, you don't want to kick the sheets out, kick the blanket off you and start your day, right? And it's so important to develop discipline as any type of person, because in order to be successful in like any endeavor in life, you have to be disciplined in some form. Obviously, there's certain things that take more discipline than others, right? But if you want to be great at things, discipline is the one common thing amongst everyone that are great at things. So that's why it's very important that we must discuss discipline. Back in the Three Beauties and a Mic podcast, we did a lot of research and a bunch of different things when we had our discipline podcast. But I just want to speak about it again and kind of just give my opinion and just talk from my mind. I don't really have much written down, so that's why I'm speaking about this. So first of all, you will not be 100% disciplined all the time. You could fall back into lazy habits if you get too complacent, right? And this is huge because this is, I guess, this kind of ideology is going towards the people that are already disciplined and maybe find themselves slacking off from time to time, right? David Goggins speaks about this, right? He created this alternate version of himself that was super disciplined, super driven, super ambitious, but he says that the old version of himself is always there. It's always there knocking and telling him to be lazy, right? And that's the thing I think is super important, is because just like anything else in life, there is no end goal. There isn't no achievement. And then once you achieve this specific thing, you can never fall back into your old bad habits, right? It's always there. You know, if you find yourself someone that has always had like a poor diet, right? No matter how much you diet, no matter how much you eat clean, you always have the tendency to fall back into your old eating habits, right? So you need to recognize this from the start, that no matter how disciplined you become, that old self is always there. And if you don't check yourself in the moments where you start to get complacent, you could fall back into that person, right? And that's the same thing with me before training, before getting into working out. It was a lot of, you know, working out only when I felt like it, or working out when I just wanted to, not so much that I needed to and I had the discipline to. But even to give you guys some context, because I like being honest on this podcast, is like recently with the gym, I haven't been as disciplined as I once was, right? I spoke about this in previous podcasts where back in 2022, when I actually started to gain weight, I was extremely strict on my diet. I was extremely strict with my training schedule, and I made the most progress ever, right? But recently, I've been struggling to get back to that, right? And it all comes from a lack of discipline. And the reason why you start to get a lack of discipline, even though you once had it, is because you're not practicing discipline. What we need to understand is that discipline is a skill. It's not something you're born with, right? Maybe some people are more disciplined than others, but usually the case of that is because their parents instilled that discipline in them from a young age. If it was through chores, if it was through sports, right? Growing up, for myself at least, there wasn't a lot of discipline when it came to keeping a consistent schedule, right? I never was a part of any sports teams. I never was a part of any after school programs and a bunch of other stuff. And because of that, I never really had the discipline that certain people around me had. So that's why I discovered the gym and I discovered training and working out. And only once I started working out was I able to build the discipline. So you got to stop comparing yourself to people online and saying, oh, that person's just like that. You know, that person is just the way they are. They have discipline. I don't. It is what it is. I can't fix that. The thing about discipline is that it's a trained skill, right? You need to constantly be doing things you don't want to do on a daily basis in order to build that discipline, right? Nobody wants to wake up early, but we wake up early because we have to. And once you wake up early enough times, it becomes easy, right? Just like training. Training is not fun all the time. Sometimes it's fun, but it's those moments where you don't want to train and you do it anyways that you build the discipline when it comes to training. And this is the thing. It should always be a daily practice, right? Add certain things to your routine that make you more disciplined. And the best way to do it too is don't do certain things for a long period of time, right? If you want to start reading, don't read an hour a day, even though beforehand you weren't reading at all. Start by reading 5 pages a day. And once you read 5 pages a day for 2 weeks straight, then you can up the pages. And that's how you build discipline, is doing a small action every single day, even when you don't feel like it. That's the truth. That is the reality of discipline, is you don't need to do 2 hours, 3 hours of this one thing every single day when before that you weren't doing anything at all. All you really need to do is just pick something new that you want to add that is difficult for you to do on a consistent basis, and do it every single day and do a little bit. You know, it's even with dieting. People love giving people diet programs and all these different things, but like, how sustainable do you want it to be? If someone's eating complete shit their whole lives and they don't know how to eat healthy, they don't know how to eat optimally for their desired goal, why would you just give them this 5 meal a day program and expect them to stay true to it, right? If you're eating like shit, start by removing things. And every single day you stay consistent, you stay disciplined with those removal of those things that are causing your bad eating habits. Then you remove another thing. You go slow, you go one at a time. You don't just completely change it like this, because that's where it doesn't work out. And that's the thing people don't understand, is that in order to start being disciplined, you can't go 0 to 100. It's just not going to work. You're not going to stay with it. You have to start doing small actions every single day that are going to allow you to be a more disciplined version of yourself for your future self, right? Because maybe right now you're not even hitting the gym at all, right? You're just watching this podcast, but maybe next week you're hitting the gym twice a week. Then you're hitting the gym 3 times a week. By the time it's been 6 months since you watch this video, you might be going to the gym 6 times a week, and that's going to feel easy to you. And that's the idea of building discipline, is implementing a daily practice that you don't do right now, doing it a little bit every single day. And as you progress and as it becomes easier, that's when you start to add difficulty to it. And that's the thing. Start right now by picking something you don't want to do, but you know you should. And do it every single day, no matter how you feel. Just pick something, and don't pick too many things. Just pick one thing. Like I said, reading is a good example. Journaling is a good example. Prayer, meditation. If it's, speaking to new people, because even that within itself is a discipline. Because if you're someone that claims to be an introvert and views themselves as an introvert, speaking to new people is very difficult to you. So if you set in your mind, okay, I want to speak to one new person every single day, and you stay consistent with that, you've now built the discipline to be more social. So you just need to pick a practice today and start doing it a little bit every single day in order to become a more disciplined version of yourself. And this is a huge thing that even I've spoke to with many people in my family, with my friends, and just seeing it online and all these different things, is once you are very disciplined in one aspect of your life, then start taking that discipline and applying it to other aspects of your life. Best way I could put this, right, is once I got into the gym, once I got into working out, it became a very easy discipline of mine. It was very easy for me to work out. It was very easy for me to show up at the gym. But when I started to get into business, it was very hard to stay consistent with my learning, with my application of the business knowledge that I was having, right? So what I needed to do was, I have this discipline for training, so I need to stop focusing so much on the training and extract that discipline and put it in to my business work, right? That's what you got to do, is because this is a thing I kind of disagree with, is people will say how you do one thing is how you do everything, but I don't think that's true, at least from my personal experience of life. Is I was very disciplined about the gym in high school. I was, first period class, I was already thinking about what I was working out after school, right? And I was super disciplined. I was always the first one in front of the door at the weight room. But my discipline did not carry over to my schoolwork and my studies. And it's only because I never saw the importance of it, which was stupid. And also, it was because I didn't try to extract the discipline I learned from the gym and put it into my studies. Because if I said to myself, okay, no matter if I have a test, no matter if I have an exam, no matter if I have an assignment due, I'm going to study every single day for 30 minutes. 30 minutes is not that long, right? I'm getting off school at 3 p.m. I go to sleep at 11. That's 8 hours of time where I could be studying for 30 minutes. Yeah, I had a part-time job, but we could all just make excuses. But I had the time to study. So even if I just implemented that discipline, I would have been better off with school. And this is what I'm trying to tell you guys, is just because you're disciplined on one thing doesn't mean you're disciplined in everything. And if you fail to realize that, maybe you are lacking some humility. Because I'm telling you, how many successful people do you know that aren't in shape? How many successful people do you know that aren't disciplined in different areas of their life? It's because they don't think about strengthening their discipline in those areas. So you need to understand that once you become very disciplined in one avenue of life, start applying it to other ones. I feel that maybe it will be very difficult to do it across the board right from the beginning. But if you're able to get that one aspect of your life disciplined to a certain degree where you can be content with, that's when you should start focusing on other areas of your life. All right, guys, I'm going to leave you with a quote before I close this out. Discipline is the highest form of self-love. It's a lot more than mind over matter. It takes relentless self-discipline to schedule suffering in your day every day, right? Because that's all discipline is. Discipline doesn't feel good, right? That's why the whole concept of it sounds negative. But it's because you have to schedule some suffering. Because even if it's something such as, reading the Bible right here, it is much easier for me to scroll on my phone right now instead of reading this book, right? Look at the text. It's very, very, very small. There's 1,000 pages. Obviously, this is going to be very difficult to stay sitting here and reading the Bible, right? And trying to learn from the wisdom that it has to offer. But that's what needs to be done. Because if I spend 1 hour studying this Bible, I will take some wisdom from it. I will take some principles that I can apply to my life right now. But if I decide instead to grab my phone and start scrolling, that may be easier, but I will suffer in the future because I'm not learning, I'm not growing when I'm scrolling on my phone, right? So that's why we need to schedule the suffering. We need to schedule the difficult things in our lives in order to grow as people. This is the most important aspect of self-improvement, is because in the beginning, you do a bit of things and you start to feel better about yourself. But once you get to a certain point where you've been on self-improvement for a couple of years, or you've been going extreme for a couple months, you need to start adding in other aspects of discipline in order to grow, right? So please consider this, my friends, is that discipline is suffering, but we need this suffering to expand ourselves and become better versions of ourselves. So if we could accept the suffering, that's when we could really start to improve. Thank you guys for listening and making it this far into the podcast. If you enjoyed it, remember to give us a follow on Spotify. We gain insight in order to move forward in life. Let me know in the comments what has been the most impactful episode of the Insightful Podcast so far for you, and I'll catch you guys on the next episode.